Welcome to Black Girls Can Talk, the podcast where we dive into real, unfiltered conversations about what it means to be a Black woman in today's world. I'm your host, Dr. DaJaneil McCree, founder of Black Girls Can Talk. And here, we're creating a space where we can unpack everything from culture and beauty trends to mental health and the joys and challenges of Black womanhood. Whether you're here for the tea or looking for deep discussions, you're in the right place. So grab your seat at the table and let's get into it. Welcome back to another episode of Black Girls Can Talk, where we uplift and empower the voices of Black women. I'm your host, Dr. McCree, and today I have with me Miss Leah Forney, who is, how do you title yourself? So you are, I say survivor, but you use another term. So how do you title yourself? I want to ask that first and foremost.
Thriver. I always tell people there's a difference between surviving something and thriving through something. So I call myself a sexual assault thriver.
Yes, period. And thank you for joining me, especially during Sexual Assault Awareness Month, because we got some stuff to talk about and the people need to hear it. So I know that you call yourself the culture doctor. Mm-hmm. So I want to first get into, before we get into the other plethora of questions I have, where did that name come from? How did you decide to start calling yourself the culture doctor? And I love it, by the way.
Yeah. So the funny thing about the culture doctor, it kind of came because I decided to shoot my shot and apply to speak at the National Sexual Assault Conference back in 2024. They were on the East Coast this time because every other year they're either on the East Coast or the West Coast. So they happened to be in DC that year. And I was like, I'm going to just shoot my shot and see if I get selected. And so I submitted a workshop called Culturally Informed Care, Best Practices for Serving Survivors of Color. And it was all about cultural responsiveness, cultural sensitivity, and working with survivors of color and really getting people to understand that it looks different for us. Like the way we have been taught to do sexual violence work, gender-based violence work from a very like westernized, white-centered, male-centered way, it looks different for people of color, for Black people. So I did the workshop, had about 75 to 100 people that registered for the workshop, probably my biggest stage. And the amount of responses that I got, not only from those who attended, but like they were going back and telling, their organizations. And the next thing I knew, I had other organizations reaching out to me like, can you train our team on this piece? So I knew I was on to something. I was like, all right, well, you're on to something here. And then at the time, I was also applying to go back and get my PhD. So I just kind of took culture and doctor and was like, all right, I'm just calling myself the culture doctor. So that is what I call myself, the culture doctor, because I teach people the importance of cultural responsiveness when working with survivors of color.
Period. And thank you for that, because we need more people like us, for us, to not just create things for us, but to educate us. Because for me personally, it resonates and hits different, as the kids would say. It hits different when someone who looks like me is sitting up there talking about something that I've gone through. Even my doctor, as a Black woman who's talking to me about Black women things, because there are things that disproportionately affect us. I just be like, oh, so you've been through that too. Okay, so you know how it feels. So thank you for not only doing the work that you do, but really being so adamant to make sure that you're doing it. Because some people, I always say, like, I have a passion to do this work, but it's deeper than that. Mm-hmm. It's a calling. So people put their calling down. So thank you for walking in your calling. That's what I wanted to say.
Yeah, it definitely is a calling. I always tell people, like, I didn't choose this work. The work chose me, right? Because prior to doing the work, I was cool with telling my survivorship story. I was cool with just sharing what I've experienced. I never thought I'd be doing what I do now. But that was God calling me, because I tell people I was cool coaching, doing other things that was just easier to do that I was good at, and God was like, that's not what I called you to do. I called you to this work. And so I'm grateful to have answered the call because, as you know, many of us don't answer it.
And we're grateful to have you. So just to say that again, thank you. So y'all know I have to read off some statistics because I'm a little nerd and I love them. So first one being, and I literally, every time we talk IPV, every time we talk sexual violence, I can read this one. I don't have to read this one is what I'm trying to say because I know it like the back of my hand. However, according to national data, nearly 1 in 4 Black women report experiencing sexual violence in their lifetime, and many never report. Research shows that most survivors know the person who harmed them, which complicates disclosure and healing. Black women are less likely to be believed, less likely to receive trauma-informed care, and more likely to be expected to just be strong after sexual violence. And lastly, sexual violence is not just a personal issue, it's a public health and cultural issue. I'm gonna pause right there because I'm reminded that you're the culture doctor. So I know that you know that on a cultural level, this hits different. So again, you describe yourself as a sexual assault thriver turned advocate and activist, and so you focus on how sexual violence disproportionately affects us being Black women, and how culture often makes that harder. So you don't just talk about the trauma, but also challenging the systems, beliefs, and silences that allow harm to continue. So I want to start with you, not the work, but the journey. So we talked about how this was a calling for you and not just something that you decided to do. So what did survival look like before advocacy entered the picture for you?
Ooh, that's such a good question. My survivor journey was really rough. It was rough for a few reasons. One, like many of us, I didn't want to report. I did not want to report. When I got sexually assaulted 13 years ago, I just celebrated 13 years in January. And
come on, thriving. I'm sorry, I have to come on, thriving for 13 years.
Yeah,
Come on.
13 years. It's crazy. But when I think back 13 years ago, after being sexually assaulted, having, friends and people that I confided in encouraging me to report, the first thing I thought about was the fact that I'm a Black woman in America. And I knew that I would be disbelieved. That was the first thing I thought about. Not that this person could get away with it. It was literally, you're a Black woman in America. Like, I understood the credibility bias. I understood that I would be the one that they would be like, nope, you caused it, so we're not going to believe you. And so it took me 2 days to actually find the courage to make the report, right? Like, we know statistically, they say that only 1 out of 15 will actually ever report. So, like, for 15 Black women, that actually has been sexually assaulted, 1 is only going to have the courage to actually report, right? So when I finally made the report, I had to deal with the system, right? And as Black people, we don't like the system, right? Historically, we have a mistrust with the system. We have mistrust with courts, mistrust with law enforcement. So when law enforcement gets to my apartment, I first get introduced to a Black male officer who repeatedly asked me 5 to 7 times, was I absolutely positively sure that I was raped, because I went on 1 date with the guy. That's how many times he wanted me to know that he didn't believe me. So my fear of not being believed was starting to be real, right? Then in walks a white woman, superior officer, who was just very cold. Like, people would think that, when you meet a white officer who's a female, right, that they would probably be a little bit more compassionate. Wrong. In my opinion, they're probably worse than the male officers, right? Because they're in a male centered environment. And so they kind of have to be that way just to survive, right? And so she was very cold, very callous, very like by the book, like, well, you need to go get a rape kit and you need to do this and this, like, no compassion, no, how are you feeling? How can I support? Nothing. So it wasn't until I got into the hospital to go do the rape kit that was the first time I had some compassion shown to me by the forensic nurse, who was just, she was just amazing. That woman was so comforting, compassionate, very like, I'm sorry this happened to you. Even as we were going through the process of doing the kit, and her having to take pictures and swabs and all that, because by this time, most people don't understand, but your body is now evidence. You have officially become a crime scene, right? And so her walking me through that, very compassionate, very like, I hate that I got to keep asking you to tell the story, and just really holding my hand. But she didn't just stop there. She connected me with the local rape crisis center. And so advocates came, and even them, they were just so sweet and so compassionate, and were like, can I get you something? What do you need? How can I support you? And so they left me with contact information for the rape crisis center, in case I was ready, or whenever I was going to be ready to like talk about it. And so I went through the legal process, right? I wanted to get at least a restraining order against my perpetrator. And so after 3 attempts to finally serve him, we served him, and we had our day in court. And while I was in court, I told my side of the story in public court. He told his side of the story in public court. And then a white male judge looked at me and said, I don't believe you were raped. I believe you a woman scorned. Got up off his bench and went in his chambers. And I'm standing there like, what just happened? Like, what's going on here? Like, I'm so confused. And then he comes back out and he says, oh, you're still here? Case dismissed. And so I watched my perpetrator with a smirk on his face walk out the door. Like, he feels victorious. I'm emotional. I'm breaking down. I did. In enters a white male sheriff that walks up to me and says, if you don't get it together, I'm going to lock you up. And I'm like, the irony, because the person that you should be locking up just walked out the door. And so from that moment, I had to make a choice. I had to say, okay, I'm not going to get justice through the criminal justice system. How are you going to get justice? Right. And so I kind of decided to put the focus on healing. And I reached out to that rape crisis center, and I got connected with therapy, because most people don't know that you can go and get free therapy. And so I started my path to getting healed. And even that path was rough, because I remember going to therapy in sweatpants and a hoodie every session, because I told myself I don't want to look attractive, because if I look attractive, I'm going to attract another perpetrator. So every session, I stopped getting my nails done. I stopped doing the things that we as women do to make ourselves look good. I dumbed myself down because I just did not want to be attractive. And I remember having an incredible therapist who was Caucasian woman, very culturally responsive, and she just would challenge me little by little to like start to take my power back, really start to like get back to me. I was very hyper vigilant, like even now I tell people there's still residue of that lingering. Like, my family and friends know, like, if I don't see you in eye shot and you walk up behind, you better introduce yourself, better tell me you behind me, because I can still be easily startled. Definitely very angry. Like, I wanted to go unalive my perpetrator. I was like, well, if the courts ain't gonna get me, I'm from New York City. Like, we could go street justice. You know what I mean? Like, I had to deal with hypersexuality, a lot of like promiscuous behavior, and even that, not understanding that when it comes to sexual violence, many of us either gravitate towards sex or we gravitate away from it. And my therapist at the rape crisis center really taught me that. Like, she was like, you being hypersexual is actually very common response to what happened to you, because you are either going to gravitate towards it or gravitate away, and you're doing it because you want to reconnect with your body. You want your power back. You want the control back. And so that journey before the advocacy, oh man, that it was rough. It was really, really rough. A lot of emotions. a lot of trying to drink it away, trying to sex it away, trying to just numb the feeling, because nobody ever taught us how to like deal with this type of trauma. You know, I grew up in the era of like what happens in this house stays in this house, and everything is a secret and we don't talk about these things, you know? So I went on a very, very emotionally charged journey before I became an advocate.
I can only imagine. Only imagine. I want to first say I'm so sorry that happened to you.
Thank you.
Of course, of course. Is a lot of the things you just said highlighted the experience, I'm sure, for many people listening. I'm pretty sure there's a shared experience there to where, to your very point, you either shy away from it or indulge more. And a lot of people may even feel like, well, what's wrong with me? Like, that should make me not want to be touched. And you said very real things about, I wanted to cover myself up essentially because I didn't want to be found attractive to someone, because that's fear of it happening again. And so it's just very, I have to go back and touch on the political piece, the because unfortunately a lot of what we deal with as Black women is politics.
Oh yeah.
And when you think of institutions, you think of the police, you think of hospital systems. I'm very grateful that the hospital system that you were seen by had trauma-informed staff, because that's exactly what that was when you were seen. And that's the very vast difference in your response from the police officers and your response when you went to the hospital. So that just brings, my research brain was going like, okay, so we need to also, I think a lot of times in this work that we do, we think like, okay, let's start with the people who are taking care of the thrivers, survivors. Let's start with educating them. But you brought up a very big piece of trauma-informed care should be worldwide. And by worldwide, I don't mean geographic location in country. I mean, it should be universal. That's how I should say. You should universal across institutions. So that does mean the police. That means campus, like an actual university. That does also mean healthcare. And so you just got my brain going in so many different ways right now. But I do want to ask you, based off of what you've experienced and the work you do, what are some common myths, that you see most about Black women as it relates to sexual violence?
Oh yeah. I think the biggest one is definitely the adultification of us, right? I actually just did a whole TikTok video about this, because what we forget is that unfortunately in our country, Black girls from a very young age, I think statistically it's as early as 5 years old, are seen as less innocent, less credible, less need of protection, right? And so when I'm doing this work, especially within systems, right, I always try to educate them to understand that even when you're dealing with an adult survivor, majority of us have already been victimized as children, right? So they're coming in, and they're not just coming in with, oh, this initial sexual violence. That might be the reason why they're showing up. But when you really start to do the work with them and unpack, like they got unresolved trauma, unresolved sexual trauma from as early as the age of 5, right? And so that adultification bias is real. Credibility bias is real, right? Like when they see us, they automatically are like, yeah, you asked for it. You had to do something, right? like you had to do something to cause that, right? So it gets into the, well, where were you at? What were you wearing? You know, did you have a drink? Like all of these investigative type questioning, as if we did something to put ourselves in the position to be violated. So that lets us know that historically, which is another thing I teach, that this is rooted in slavery. Like if we track this thing all the way back to slavery, Black women's bodies have been policed and been experimented on since the beginning of our nation. Like, so we're talking about slavery, patriarchal systems that still show up in 2026. Right? Still the reason why we have implicit bias. It's still the reason why we have credibility bias. It's still the reason why a black woman can go into a institution and report rape, and she's going to be investigated before the person that actually caused the harm. Right? And so I think people have to understand that you have to unpack your implicit bias, right? Because it's your implicit bias that's forming the myths, right? Another thing I think about is how we automatically deem black women and black girls as fast or grown, right? Like before I was ever given hit puberty, I was already deemed fast, right? This is how and this is how we stay unprotected, right? Because when you think about the young girl who, once she hits puberty, right, and she starts forming, who's the first people that are attracted to her? The older men in the neighborhood, right? And nobody's protecting her. So nobody's protecting her from in her house, right? Because they too busy talking about, well, you're not a little girl no more. I'm still underage. Like I'm still not at the age of consent, right? And so we have that. We also have, and this is a big one, the need to protect our own. When it comes to us as black women, if our perpetrator is another black man, like mine's was, it's this innate need to protect our own, right? Oh, I can't put another brother in prison. Prison is full of them. Well, no, he needs to be held accountable, right? But again, we don't think of accountability. We think as black people, we are supposed to have each other's back. And if I do that by putting another man who is black in prison, then I'm going against the community. I'm going against the culture. I'm going against the family, right? And then we have our families who don't believe us, right? Because again, many of us are raised in this, what happens in this house stays in this house, even if what's happening in this house is causing you harm. So all of these things are layered. All of these things are what we are coming into these systems with that they don't understand about us, which is why they keep doing the very westernized approach to this work, right? Because they don't understand that we're coming in not only with historical trauma and cultural trauma and all of those things, but we're coming in with those cultural messages and the family pressure and the community pressure and then the unaddressed childhood trauma, all of it compound together. I'm walking into your doors with. And if you don't understand that, then you're going to keep failing us.
I have, you know how when you have so much to say that you don't got nothing? Like, I have so much to say that cannot be said in this episode simply because we just do not have enough time. I wholeheartedly agree with and resonate with everything you just said. It's disheartening to hear, this is what I'll say, that we are so protective as black women that even when it's someone who harmed us, we want to protect them. Like, it's good. That bone in our bodies is good sometimes.
Sometimes,
A
yeah.
lot of the time. But when it comes to stuff like this, I want everyone that's listening to us to hear, it don't matter if he white, black, blue, purple. If you feel called, because I'll say I'm going to be sensitive to, not everyone is ready to report.
Yeah.
If you feel called to report, please honor yourself more than protecting someone else. I have to say that. And so, as mentioned, it's Sexual Assault Awareness Month. So I wanted to ask you, especially during this month, there are a lot of things that don't exist outside of this month. However, especially during this month, what are some things that you feel are, or some conversations, I should say, that are still missing?
Ooh, that's so good. Um, I think that the biggest conversation that we're missing is we're not inviting survivors to the table, right? Like this movement, I always say you cannot talk anti sexual violence work and not understand that this is also anti oppressive work, right? That this is also, anti racism, sexism, classism, all the isms, right? Like you cannot say that you are against or wanting to end sexual violence and don't want to talk race, don't want to talk culture, don't want to talk oppression, don't want to talk bias. Like you can't, because then you're not really doing the work from the way that you should be doing the work. It's more performative. And that's what we're actually seeing in the field now. Like we're seeing a lot of organizations that on paper it sound good, right? But in theory and in practice, you're failing us, right? That was very, very loud when this administration came in, right? And all the DEI stuff started doubling down, and how many organizations who serve predominantly Black and brown folk who were hiding resources, taking them down, right? The message you send is you care more about your federal dollars than you care about the people you actually claim to serve. So that's missing, is the fact that what do you care more about, right? Because here's the thing that I think people forget, and I've said it publicly, is that when you cause harm in marginalized communities, especially when it has taken them decades to trust you, you can't clean that up with a public apology. You can't be like, let me use my social media guy to go and issue an apology statement. You can't do that, because it's taken us years to trust a system that historically we've never trust, because we understand it wasn't designed for us, right? So when we get to this place of like, all right, I'm gonna trust that you are who you are and that you really do mean well, and then opportunities and pressure comes, right, from yo people upstairs who are making all the laws and all that stuff, and you double down, like now you sending mixed messages, and then you'll wonder why you start to lose trust. Well, that's because you showed us what matters more to you: your federal grant from the CDC or whoever, VOCA, VAWA, whatever. That's who matters more to you than you actually showing up and taking a stand and serving us. So I feel like it's during Sexual Assault Awareness Month, we got to stop the whole let's have prevention talk, first of all. And I'm going to say this, and people hate when I say it, and it's probably going to piss you off when I say it. But we keep having prevention conversations with the wrong people. Why are you talking to victims and survivors about how to prevent sexual violence? Who you should be talking to are those who can commit harm. That's who you should be having prevention conversation with. We don't have enough conversation on how do we recover and how should we be responding. That's what we should be doing during Sexual Assault Awareness Month. Not talking prevention, because listen, after I've been sexually assaulted, I don't care about consent. Don't talk to me about healthy relationships. Don't talk to me about boundaries. Don't talk to me about bystander intervention. Talk to me about how do I make it up on the other side of this thing? How do I go from being a victim to a survivor to a thriver? Talk to me about that. Because we're not talking that. We just want to keep talking consent and all that prevention stuff. Have that conversation with the men and the women too, because they perpetrate out here raping us. That's who you talk to about that. I'm gonna get off my soapbox on that.
Girl, I'm taken aback. Literally, because for one, I didn't hate that you said it. I love that you said it. Let's be clear. But you did come for me a bit, because hold on. I do work in prevention, but you are 1,000% right. We are talking to the wrong people. Yes, it is very important for me to help survivors. It is very important for me to continue to hold space for those individuals. And on the other end, it's important for me to educate people who haven't had the experience yet. However, as you mentioned, there is another subset of individuals, not that I didn't think about them, it's just that they're less focused on. To your very point, women are perpetrators as well. Let's make that clear. If you ain't hear her say it, let's reiterate that and say it again, because men are out here getting raped too. We ain't here to talk about them though. But we have to bring that to light, because, the conversation exists in both ways, right? So men need to be talked to, women need to be talked to. So you just gave me some, okay, you gave me some food for thought. Thank you. But that's the point of these conversations, is to make the work that we do better, right? To make our reach further. Like, I'm so grateful that, and you know, maybe you were led by the Holy Spirit to say it. I don't know, child, but it came out. And I'm grateful because we get so stuck in the work that we do. And I'm so used to doing exactly what I do. And the only time I'm thinking of how to do it differently is when I'm researching or writing, for a grant. That's like, okay, how is this different than what I've already done? But I don't necessarily change my population of focus. So thank you for sharing that bit. And I want to ask you, as we're getting into our closing, I wanted to ask you, you mentioned therapy, which if y'all didn't hear me say it before, I'll say it again. I've been in therapy, thank the Lord for everyone around me, for over a decade. I highly, highly recommend therapy for anyone. Man, woman, black, white, it doesn't matter. But how do you feel that Black women could heal, or what do you feel like the journey of healing should and could be aside from therapy for Black women?
Yeah, no, that's good. I think when I think about my journey, forgiveness was definitely a big part of it. Um, and I think forgiveness was twofold, like having to forgive myself because when I was sexually assaulted, the guy that sexually assaulted me, like he came to my house. I let him in against my better judgment, right? And it was at a time that I was vulnerable. Like I had just got off the phone finding out someone I love had passed away. So he caught me in a very vulnerable moment when he sexually assaulted me. And that was a part of my journey that I just could not get past. Like I carried so much guilt and shame for a long time of like, your intuition said don't do it and you went against it. So having to get to a place of forgiveness with myself, and forgiveness for myself really looked like understanding the information that I had at the time, right? Like we only make decisions based on the data we have at the time, right? And so we can't beat ourselves up too much about it. So having to forgive, having to learn self-compassion for myself, really having to daily affirm myself and be like, it really wasn't your fault, right? Like you don't have no control over what happened to you. Prayer, look, I'm a Jesus girl through and through. Okay, through and
Yes.
through.
Yes.
So definitely leaning on God to get me through. Definitely, I thank God I had an incredible support system at my church at the time. That really just they held me down. They were there for me through the process. My spiritual parents was there with me through the process. Like just really finding community and not doing it alone. I think we think that we can heal alone, but you really can't. Like you really do need each other. I think it starts with literally finding trusted people you could talk about these things with, right? And I do mean trusted, right? Because like sometimes we want to we want to spill things to people that really be the devil themselves, like, and they don't want to see you win. They don't want to see you grow. They don't want to see you evolve, right? So you'll know, like, trust your instinct, trust your gut, that you'll know who you can confide in. But really having community, forgiveness, self-compassion, praying, and of course therapy. I've been in therapy over a decade myself, like really working through stuff, and unpacking stuff and healing that little girl, and really doing the work. So I think all of those things, and then I'm an avid journaler. Like I tell people, get you some journals, get you a notebook. I got like 13. Don't judge me, it's okay. But
We
like,
listen and we don't judge.
listen, but like, get you a journal, because here's the thing: somatic release is real, right? Like, if you don't get that trauma out of your body, it's gonna stay locked in your body. So you got to find a way to get it out. Whether that's write it out, whether that's scream, whether that's audio recorded. If you don't want to write, get your audio recorder on your phone, record it. Listen, we got rage rooms now. Go break some. I like to go to the gun range. Like whatever you got to do, but you got to get that emotion out. You got to pass through that emotion and get it out of your body. That's how we end up dealing with so many health challenges as Black women, right? Where we deal with things like endometriosis and fibroids and all these issues in our womb. Because where do you think the trauma is stored? In our womb. Like that is the birthing place of everything. Our creativity, like everything that is a Black woman comes from our womb. And so if we don't clean the womb out by getting rid of that trauma, then everything about us gets distorted, even how we look at ourselves. So yeah, we got to do the work, and we got to be willing to do it together and have these honest conversations. Because one thing that I've learned as a survivor is that when I self-identify, I give permission to everybody else to do the same.
Girl, it's so good. I love it. I love it. And I love that the first thing you said was forgiveness. And let me be clear to our audience that forgiveness is biblical. Okay. Just like you, I'm a Jesus girl. I love the Lord. I love the Trinity. Okay. All three of them. All three of them now.
Yeah.
But yeah, so, I often, and I'm reminded that, I remind myself of this daily is how I want to say it. Matthew 18, 21, 22, where Peter asks Jesus, how many times should he forgive daily? And the answer, or, he was like, 7? About 7? That sound about good, 7. He's like, no, 70 times 7. So to hear you say that, not only did you have to forgive your perpetrator, you also have to forgive yourself, because I don't think that people view it in that context, right? And there's in forgiving yourself, I'm pretty sure that like shame was lifted. Some of the weights that were carrying you down. So I just wanted to hit on that again for everyone listening, that, it's not just forgiveness is not just a one-time thing. So again, go on, pick up the good book and read it and read that whole chapter if need be. But remember, 70 times 7, we're always forgiven, and that's daily. Not if you want to go as far as hourly, sometimes you might have to forgive 70 times in an hour, but biblically, daily. And so thank you for bringing that to the forefront, and just everything you said, because in addition to therapy, there is a lot of inner work that needs to be done, because to your very point, it does impact us in other ways that may not show outwardly, but like you said, internally. You mentioned the Roys, not them kind of Roy's fibroids, okay? But, thinking about how stress and all of those things quite literally hinders our bodies as Black women. So thank you for bringing that to the forefront. We are going to transition really quickly to a segment called The Rundown. So if you are familiar with, this or that, we're going to play a game of this or that real quick. I just think The Rundown sounds cooler. So there we have it. Thank you. And so I want to ask you a set of questions, and you do have to choose one.
Oh, you're going to make it hard. Okay.
I know. That's our purpose. Yes. Okay. So we're going to go with, it's always so interesting when I read these back. Okay. So, rewriting culture or rebuilding systems?
I can't do both. I'm going to choose rebuilding systems. And I say that because if I can get the systems together, then survivors have better outcomes.
Softness or strength?
Oh, I'm going with softness. I'm in my soft girl era.
I love it.
All day.
Yes. Private healing or public advocacy?
Ooh.
I know.
Why? Why are you doing me like this?
I don't know. I'm so sorry.
I would have to do public advocacy for me. Again, it's something about giving other people permission to do the same.
And we're going to go education or disruption?
Oof. Girl.
I know. I'm so sorry.
You're stressing me out. I'm going to go with disruption because I'm a disruptor. I know that is my calling. I know that God has called me to disrupt, dismantle, and rebuild. That is what he literally told me. So,
yep, that's it. And then we'll go with this last one. I love to ask this question because it differs for everybody. Community healing or individual healing?
Oh, man, I'm going with the community. I'm going with the community because it's generational. If I can get one generation to heal, we can get the others to heal.
Yes, that was good. I love the background, like the why you chose that, because to put it into that context, especially because you only could choose one, it's helpful to hear the why behind your selection. So thank you. I wanted to ask you, before you let the people know how they can find you, what is something that you would want to say to a Black girl, or you would want them to hear, someone who hasn't yet named their experience?
Oof, that's so good. I think for me, I would want them to know, first and foremost, it wasn't your fault. There was nothing you did, nothing you said, nothing you wore that caused any form of trauma, right? But especially sexual trauma. I would also want her to know that she's deserving of healing. She is deserving of healing. I know the world don't tell you that you're deserving of healing, but you are, right? And that not only are you deserving of it, but healing looks good on you, girl. Like when you make it on the other side of that thing and you really get to know who you really are at the core of who you are before the trauma, girl, you're going to be unstoppable. And that there's a generation of people that need you and they need your story and they need your experiences and they need your wisdom. And so if you can't find the strength within yourself to heal, find it for the people coming behind you that need you, right? Think about those people. And then trust the process, because it's a process. Like, it's not going to be a linear straight line. It's going to be highs and lows. But I promise you, when you make it on the other side of survivorship, thriving is waiting for you. And I just can't wait to see what you do when you thrive, girl.
Me either. That makes my heart so warm. Like, I'm over here like, yes, because it's such a beautiful space to get to that thriving position, not just existing, not just surviving, but thriving, because there's so many blessings on the other side of that. And one thing I want to add to what you said is that your story is helpful to somebody else. So we have to, I know it's scary and I know it's hard, but we have to share our story. Once you're ready, no pressure, we have to share our story because we do not know who is listening and who could benefit from it. So speaking of that, Leah, I definitely want to thank you for not just coming on here and kikiing with me, but for sharing your story, for sharing your journey, for your openness, your transparency, your realness, because that gets lost in conversation sometimes too. So thank you for everything you brought to the table today. Let the people know, because we must talk offline. I was just going to say, like, we have to talk more and do more because we got work to do. But for those who want to get in contact with you, let them know how they can.
Yeah, first and foremost, thank you, Doc. Listen, I loved having this conversation. It's needed, and I love the podcast, so keep doing what you're doing, because Black girls can talk, and we can heal together. So I'm here for it. But I'm everywhere as Leah M. Forney on social media, everywhere. Like, you can find me on social media, Leah M. Forney. I do have a website. It's just leahmforney.com, where you can kind of see all the different things I do, different services I offer. And then, shoot me an email, info@leahmforney.com. I keep it simple over here, y'all.
Period. That's very easy. The name is gonna be on the screen. Y'all can't. It's gonna be in the show notes now, so you can't miss her name. All right. It's a straight shot to her. So make sure you follow Leah. Make sure you go click on that website, contact her, email her, whatever you need from her. She is willing. I can't say that about everybody, but she is willing to help you in this journey. As am I. So thank you again, Leah, for joining us. Make sure y'all go buy the book, Black Girls Can Talk, like and subscribe to our YouTube channel so you can be notified when we have another episode that drops just like this gem. So until next time, I'm Dr. McCree. That's Leah M. Forney. Don't play with her. Stay powerful. That's a wrap on today's episode of Black Girls Can Talk. I hope you felt heard, empowered, and inspired by today's conversation. If you love what you heard, make sure to subscribe, leave a review, and share this episode with your girls. Don't forget to follow us on Instagram at blackgirls_can talk To stay updated on future episodes and join the conversation online. Got something you want us to talk about or want to be a guest on our show? Hit us up on social media or visit our website at blackgirlscantalk.com. Thank you for listening, and remember, Black girls can talk, and we've got a lot to say. Until next time, stay powerful.